So why am I pausing my investments in 2025? The reason why I'm pausing my investments in 2025 is to pay off my debts. I'm not going to completely pause it. I'll still contribute to my Roth. However, the other major investments I will significantly decrease to get a hold of my debt. And getting rid of your debt along with losing weight are the two biggest New Year's resolutions. So I'll tell you, I love investing. It is the way to go to create wealth. But I realize that I'm not stopping, I'm just pausing so I can take care of this problem over here, right? Sometimes you have to have priorities, and this is one of them. Sometimes you have to deal with a problem one time. Sometimes it's a problem that has to be dealt with one time. It cannot be delayed, it has to be addressed, right? It's like in the hospital when they come in and they do triage and they look at what is the most critical situation. Somebody might come in and they may have more than one problem going on, right? Maybe they got stabbed, maybe they got a laceration and they're bleeding from their artery. The blood is pumping. Every time the heart beats, the blood is pumping. And they also have a dislocated ankle for maybe they tripped and fell. Two problems. But obviously, the bleeding artery has to be addressed first. Compression, stabilizing. And then when that's addressed and that's stabilized, then we'll go to his ankle. So investing is no different. We want to invest and get compound interest on our side and everything. However, when the interest that you are paying on your debt exceeds the return that you are anticipating getting on your investments, you're defeating the purpose, right? If you're paying a credit card 30% interest and you're getting 10, 11, 12% on your investment, you're still losing because you're paying more interest than you're making on your return. So what you have to do is pause, change direction and focus, and attack the debt. So 2025, I'm going to slow down my investments and focus on my debt. And just like a lot of people out there, right? We have debt, right? And yes, we can talk about good debt and bad debt, but we're talking about bad debt, right? We're talking about bad debt. We're talking about credit card debt. We're talking about consumer debt. The total amount of debt is over $1 trillion. It's about $1.17 trillion of debt owed by Americans. It averages out to about $6,300 per person. That's a lot of debt. $6,000, and you carry that balance month and after month after month. A lot of debt. Now, let's think about this. If your credit card is charging you 30% interest, what you do to find out how much monthly they're charging you take your 30% and you divide it by 12. Right? That's 12 months. 30 divided by 12, you get 2.5, which would mean on the balance that you're carrying from month to month, you're paying 2.5% of the balance that you're carrying. You're paying that in interest. So to make the number is easy. If say you have $100,000 in credit card debt, right? I know that's a lot, but say you have $100,000 in credit card debt, and you're paying 30% interest annually. Every month you'll be paying 2.5% interest. 2.5% of 100,000 would be $2,500 in interest. So whatever you send them, if you send them $2,500, $2,500 is going to interest, and you have not touched the principal. If you send them $3,000, $2,500 is going to interest, and only $500 is going to the principal. You see how credit card debt is something that has to be dealt with, and this is why I'm going to deal with this in 2025. And we know that credit card debt has to be gotten rid of. We can't get rid of it by paying the minimum balance. We have to get rid of it by putting big chunks of money towards it. And I'm basically sick of it, and enough is enough. And like many things in life, nothing gets done until you get upset. So I am beyond upset. And I'm going to pause the investing and just getting rid of all these credit card debt along with some other debt. So this is my 2025 financial resolution, to get rid of all of my credit card debts. So this is my 2025 resolution, or one of my 2025 financial resolution, is to get rid of my credit card debt. So for all you guys out there who have credit card debt, just know that yes, it is normal, but it's still not good. So some of the things you'll have to do to get rid of your credit card debt is, one, you have to write it down on paper. I mean, when I wrote all of my debts, including my credit card, down on paper, putting the name of the creditor, right? Visa, MasterCard, Amex, the amount you owe, the interest rates the card is charging you. Wow. The minimum balance. It really, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely an eye opener. It was shocking. But for some strange reason, I felt a little like I wasn't putting my head in the sand anymore. I felt like, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. We're not going to sugarcoat it. This is exactly what it is. And I suggest you do that too. Write it down, right? A problem that is not tracked and addressed is a problem that's not going to get solved. It has to be written down so you are aware of it, so you know exactly what's going on. And that's the step one. So after you do that and you got all your stuff lined up, then after that, you have to come up with a plan. Okay? The reason why, and after you get everything down, you have to come up with a plan. The reason why you got in credit card debt is because you were buying stuff that you could not afford. You didn't have the money to pay for it. And a credit card, using a credit card is basically a loan. So you have to stop using your credit card. You don't have cash, you just can't do it. You know, that's why you need a little starter emergency fund, maybe $1,000, $1,500, something like that, to have on the side in case, your tires blow or transmission or something. That's to help you out, so you don't have to swipe it again. But after that, you have to get into your credit card debt and start really getting into it. One of the options you have is to get a zero balance transfer card. I got zero balance transfer card. I got a couple of zero balance transfer card, and it's going to absolutely be a game changer to help me to hold that interest down, right? If you're interested in watching the video on the zero balance transfer card, I did one maybe 2 weeks ago. And what it essentially does is you're able to transfer your balance from a card that you have that balance on with a high interest onto a card that had 0% interest rate for a certain time period. So, which is great because it's the interest that kills you. So during that time period, 12 months, 18 months, 21 months, whatever, there's no interest being charged. Then you can start throwing large chunks of money to that card, and everything goes to principal because there's no interest. So that's a strategy I'm going to use, and that's a strategy I suggest, if you can, use it yourself. Right? You can just Google zero balance transfer card, and that's something that you can do. The thing about credit card debt is basically you're paying for the past. These are bills that you incurred weeks ago, months ago, maybe even years ago, but you're paying for them now. So your older self is paying for stuff that your younger self did. And investing is about the future, but you can't invest for the future when you're paying bills from 2 years ago. So the credit card debt and other debts are credit card debt, especially the very frustrating type of debt, and the only way to deal with it is to get rid of it. Now, in terms of paying down the debt, there's really two major ways they talk about. One way is called the debt snowball, and the other one is called the debt avalanche. The debt snowball, you line up all of your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate. And then you pay the minimum on all of the debts except for the smallest. And then once you throw everything you can at the smallest debt. When that's done, you then move on to the next debt. Take the money that you were paying to debt number one and move it, and then add it to whatever you're paying to debt number two. And when that's done, you take all that money that you were paying to debt number one and number two, and you move it to debt number three, and so on and so forth. You go on until all the debt is gone. Mathematically, it's not the best way to go in terms of saving interest because you are paying it regardless of the interest rates, right? Mathematically, not the best way to go, but psychologically, you get momentum because when you knock off the first debt, you feel great, like you finally got something accomplished. You have one less debt, then you move on. So you get motivation, release of dopamine in your brain, serotonin. You feel good, and you are more likely to continue to keep it going. The other way of paying off the credit card debt is called the debt avalanche, where you arrange your debt with the highest interest rates first, and then you put them in decreasing order of interest rates. And the reason why you do that is the debt with the highest interest rate is costing you the most money in interest, like we discussed before. You attack that first debt that has the largest interest rate, right? That's the most expensive debt you have. And then attack that, and then the minimum and everything else. When that debt is done, you take that amount that you're paying and then add it to the next lower interest rate, and so on and so forth until everything is done. The second one, the debt avalanche, you'll save more money on interest. Okay? So guys, credit card debt is something absolutely, it's a non-negotiable. You can't carry it from month to month when you're on your way to financial independence. You cannot do it because you're basically taking a couple of steps forward and then more steps backwards because of the debt, right? All that interest that you're paying could be used to pay, all that interest you're paying to the credit card company could be used to invest in assets to grow your wealth. Albert Einstein said this: compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who do not understand it pay it, and those who understand it earns it. So when you carry a credit card debt, we're not understanding compound interest. That's why it's so hard to get out of our credit card debt, because not only are you paying interest on what you bought, what $1,000 flat screen TV for the Black Friday, but then because you carried the balance, that incurred an interest, and now you're paying interest on that interest. So it is the flip side, the negative side of compound interest. Those who do not understand it pays it. So all the interest you're paying when you pay the minimum balance to the credit card company, you're paying them interest. That's the negative side of compound interest. But those who understand compound interest earns it. That's when you're investing in your S&P 500, in your stocks, in your individual stock, your ETF, and you're earning compound interest because your return is also getting a return. So guys, a video to get our mindset ready for the next year coming, to tell you that it's okay to pause your investing for a while. Even if it's not a complete pause, an almost complete pause. Because I understand if you are investing in your company 401k and they give a match, that's free money that you want to get. So you may want to at least invest up to the match to get that free money. But most other investing should probably be paused while you're knocking down these high interest rate debt. MD Investor again, guys, with another video. I'd appreciate a like, subscription, and we're going to keep on going forward and making progress in 2025. Continue to command your money to grow and send a video to a friend who might benefit from this financial education. MD Investor out.